This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I'm here with winemaker Adam Pearce at Two Sisters. How are you today?
Excellent. Right in the middle of bottling today, so it's always a fun-filled, chaotic day.
Sorry to intrude upon your workday. It looks like you were bottling something quite interesting over there. What was it you were pressing into that case?
Happy to have you guys here. We're doing our sparkling Cab Franc Blanc, so really excited. So just doing tirage on that today, and a first for us, and maybe a first for the area. I'm not too sure, but I hope so, and really cautiously optimistic about it.
Now, why did you choose Cabernet Franc to make a wine like this, a sparkling wine?
Well, on our site, and obviously in the peninsula itself, and Ontario, Franc does really, really well. We love it, and I've been a fan of the odd sparkling Franc that I've had from the Loire when I can get my hands on a little bit, and it's suited to make a nice sparkling. Good structure, good acid, so it's just the trick is kind of picking it at the right time, which I think we did. And it was end of September, so we picked for good acid and treated it in the champagne style. We just did a quick 4-ton pick, right to basket press. Sorry, not basket press, right to our bladder press, which has a nice gentle champagne cycle on it, so no skin contact, and came out nice crystal clear and good acidity and clean, fruity, so excited.
Excellent. Now, when do you think that will be coming to market?
Well, as with sparkling, I think only time will tell. So tirage today will be at least a year, but probably 2, maybe 3, maybe 5. We really have no pressure to get it out there. It's sort of an experiment, a little R&D at this point. But that being said, we're already planning to make it again this year. So we'll just see basically how well it goes to sleep and how it's tasting in a year's time.
Superb. Now, 75% of your production or thereabouts is red wine.
That's right.
And you are lucky enough to get your grapes from the estate on the Niagara River. I've said for many years the only appellations I felt that could ripen Cabernet Sauvignon over and over again consistently were St. David's Bench and the Niagara River. From some old wines I had with from Rife many a year ago, and I was always impressed at that consistent ripeness they were achieving in their reds. How do you find it working with grapes from the Niagara River?
Well, I thought it was interesting at first that we were going to be just red, but it really makes sense for us to have our reds where we can ripen them, and then we source whites from a few other places towards the bench. But that proximity to the lake and the Niagara River Gorge gives us that really nice convection. So earlier spring and kind of later fall is helping to draw that cold air away, and it really makes sense to farm our reds the way that we want to on our site, where, like you said, next to St. David's Bench, as far as degree days and frost-free days, it really makes sense for us to grow the reds there. I mean, consistently now having the ability to taste 6 years of Sauv Franc and Merlot off our site, I can see it was a good decision. It makes sense every year, depending on how we carry our crop. It really makes sense to grow it there.
Now, how many years have you been making wine for here at Two Sisters?
Specifically, I started the winter of 2013.
Okay.
Yeah. So inherited the 2012s.
I see.
In tank and barrel, and then was on board for harvest here.
And how would you describe the red wines that you make at Two Sisters?
Well, we're building them to age. So structured, velvety. We're really concentrating on phenolic ripeness. We're trying to age a little longer in more neutral oak, less new oak, and really let the vineyard sort of speak for itself. But it's all about having, really structured, age-worthy wines with some good fruit characters in there as well.
It appeared to me in tasting that you actually have a fair amount of tannin management going on, because your wines are very approachable even at release date, but right. I would say there was some longevity that they definitely have the potential for. How would you explain that?
Well, I think the idea behind, like our 11th post for sure is meant to be the most approachable of the reds, but still a well-structured wine. So most of our reds are ending up between 24 and 32 months in barrel, and then at least a couple years in bottle pretty well before release. So we're sort of managing our tannins on the tertiary side of it, where we're careful at harvest, get the tannin that we want, right tannin, and then we're watching through barrel and bottle development, releasing the wine at the right time, but still with enough structure where it's got that ageability. We want them to be drinkable upon release with decanting. And really it comes down to our fermentation management, when we're picking and how we're managing our cap, really, at fermentation.
Tell me, when I was thinking about big Niagara Reds and having tasted them, I was like, oh wow, it's not what I was expecting. You've actually kind of calmed in that oak influence, have you not? Has that been a conscious effort?
To have less oak?
Yes,
For sure it is. I mean, we spend a lot of time, effort, money in the vineyard, as most people do, and you know, it's easy to have the wine be, you know, put it in all new oak or too much new oak and just have those powers overtake the wine, and that's not really what we're all about. Like I said, we want the vineyard and the region and the appellation to speak. So we're 15% or less new oak, and typically French oak, a little bit of American into some of the program, and then the balance being, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old oak, just for longer period of time. So we're still really getting that nice oak integration and really using it more as a storage vessel for that micro-ox effect, as opposed to being in tank or new oak. And we like the idea of aging longer in oak than being, you know, fast and furious in new oak. I'd sooner be a little longer, drawn-out aging in less new oak.
What is the current size of your production here, Adam?
Well, we're anywhere, I mean, we have 60 acres planted, but we're cropping ultimately very low, so less than 2 tons an acre typically. So between that and the whites, the fruit that we purchase, we're less than 10,000 cases.
Okay, and is there the potential to grow? Because this is a bigger facility than I expected it to be.
We do have the potential to grow for sure, but we often have, because we have a long barrel program, we're often holding wine in tank or barrel for an extra. So we have the potential to grow if need, for sure. So we are planting a little bit more. We're planting 10 acres of Chardonnay right now and another 30 of red back in St. David's, some property we own. So we've got the potential there for sure.
Superb. Adam Pearce, thank you very much for joining us at Good Food Revolution today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Bye for now.